We can now bring in Petra Alderman, manager of the Swee Hock Southeast Asia Center at the London School of Economics. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. Why has the situation escalated so quickly?
Thank you very much for having me. Yes, I mean, the report has already mentioned that the current flare-up dates back to the 28th of May, when the situation escalated or flared up again after, many years of being dormant. And that was because the Cambodian soldier was killed in an exchange of fire. And these skirmishes happen regularly, but the most recent one has lasted since May, and there's been a tit for tat approach by both sides. What hasn't really helped has been a deterioration between relations, not just between the two countries on the level of the nations, but also between the leaders and their families. So I think that has complicated the situation further.
I want to talk about that in just a second, but if you could talk about the root cause of this current problem.
Yes, I mean, this goes way back in the history. Actually, it goes back to pre-colonial Southeast Asia. So before the Western colonial powers extended their interest to Southeast Asia, there was nothing like a concept of the bordered nation state. Southeast Asia was organized around larger cities and some smaller villages and towns that were in a very kind of loose tributary system. Now that changed obviously with the onset of the Western or European specifically colonization into the area, and the two dominant powers in the mainland Southeast Asia, at least, were the British and the French. And actually, it was those two powers that introduced the modern concept of geography, mapping, and charting the territory into Southeast Asia. And it was these two countries that actually also drew the first kind of maps that showed how the territories of what is today Thailand and Cambodia actually looks like. Now, it's important to say that Thailand was never formally colonized by any of these countries, but there was already a tension between Thailand and the French back in the day about delineating which territory belongs to what is today Cambodia and what is today Thailand. And the map that was drawn in 1907 is actually the map that has been causing a lot of tensions between the two countries to this day, and that was a colonial map drawn by French.
Now, yesterday, Thai soldiers were injured in a mine explosion, but why does Bangkok think these mines were placed recently?
That's a very good question. I mean, there has been a lot of tit for tat response and blaming of one another. It is actually quite difficult to know at the moment, who started the fires first, who did what. The question of mines is also quite contentious between the countries. And given the long-standing nature of the conflict, it is actually quite difficult to know, where the truth actually lies and what happened when and what was the exact sequence of events.
And what does this current situation have to do with why Thailand's current Prime Minister, Shinawatra, is on suspension?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So as I mentioned earlier, the current flare-up actually escalated in late May, and there has been obviously numerous attempts by both sides to try and de-escalate the conflict. However, that hasn't happened, and what was worse, the Thai Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra had a phone call with Hun Sen, who is no longer the prime minister, but he was the long-term prime minister of Cambodia, and now he's the president of the Senate. It was a private phone call in mid-June where they tried to iron out the situation and try and de-escalate. What happened after the phone call, however, was that Hun Sen released the phone call on his Facebook page, which actually caused a lot of trouble for Paetongtarn domestically. She was seen as kowtowing to Hun Sen, saying that she would do anything to resolve the situation, would actually concede anything to Hun Sen. So she was not really seen as coming from a very strong position. She was also seen as criticizing the army general who oversees the border area, which in a country like Thailand that is prone to frequent military coups is never a good thing. So following this leaked phone call, Paetongtarn came under a lot of pressure in Thailand, both from the political opposition, but also from the public. And as a result of this, she started facing legal challenges. So the constitutional court in the country was petitioned to investigate Petongtan for breaches of ethical conduct based on that particular call. And the court decided to take on that charge and to investigate. And as a result of that, the court also decided to suspend her for the time being. So at the moment that is being investigated, she is suspended. So Thailand now has an acting prime minister.
Yeah, I saw that she called Cambodia's former leader uncle on the phone call. So that, of course, rubbed people the wrong way in Thailand. Thank you very much, Petra Alderman, for joining us on the program today.